So could you tell me about your fleet? What kind of aircraft do you have?
Yeah, so we have a 5 aircraft fleet currently. Our primary airships are the Augusta Westland 139s, now owned by Leonardo. But we have 5 139s ranging from the year we got them in 2008 all the way to last year in 2019. We received our newest one. So those are our all-mission aircraft, which we do everything from hoist operations and search and rescue to brush firefighting with it, VIP flights. We can work with SWAT and the FBI, that kind of thing, to carry personnel and that kind of stuff. Air ambulances, interfacility transfers from hospital to hospital, all that. So the 139 is our main multi-mission profile. We also have 2 Jet Rangers, 2 Bell 206s. And one can be used as a helico platform. It's got the radio outfit and night sun, everything on that. But we use it primarily as a trainer. We even have a 120-gallon water tank we can put on it, and it's got a cargo hook for sling loading. But it's our primary trainer for the newer pilots coming through the program. They start off in the Jet Ranger, and but that can be, it's radio outfitted to be a helico platform for us. And then we also have another Jet Ranger that we purchased a few years ago from Contra Costa Sheriff that's still painted the sheriff color scheme and everything, but has a city seal on it, and we use that just strictly for training and for currency. So it doesn't have the radio package for us to be able to run a mission with our ground units and stuff. It's just the aviation radios. So 7 aircraft fleet, but the Augusta 139 is our workhorse. We used to have 412s, and as those started phasing out, we were replacing those with 139s. So now we're no more 412s, just the Augusta Westlands.
So there's no plans to go to the Firehogs like a lot of other departments are doing?
Nope, no Firehawks.
Mm-hmm. What is your job here?
So my job here, I'm a pilot 4, so I'm a lead pilot for our shift.
Pilot what? 4?
Yeah, we go through stages. We got 1 all the way through 5. So pilot 1 is a trainee. When they get here, they're a pilot trainee, and they're in the Jet Ranger training program for 200 hours. We have a 200-hour training program. Once they get through the Jet Ranger program, then they're in a time building, mission building, basic profile for about a year, and they start transitioning into the 139. Then we get sent back to get our type rating. So once they finish the Jet Ranger program, they're a pilot 2. You're a pilot 2. As you start training in the 139, we do on-the-job training here, getting ready to go back and get your type rating. So you go back to school for a month in what was New Jersey, is going to be Philadelphia soon. And you get your type rating in the 139, and then it takes on average anywhere from 8 months to a year of more on-the-job training, and we've got kind of a step profile system that incrementally checks us off on mission profiles for the 139. So you start off from solo flying to taking passengers to water dropping and then hoisting. So once you graduate that and you're all certified in the 139, you're then a pilot 3. So the pilot 3 is our line pilot, and that's our normal line pilot across the board, and they're capable of doing, any mission and any helicopter profile that we have. And then the pilot 4, we have, so on the fire department here, we run 3 platoons, 3 shifts. And here in the aviation world of it, we still stick to that same schedule. So a lot of aviation schedules are daytime only or 10-hour schedules or something like that. We're still on a normal platoon duty, which is 24 hours. So
really?
we have 3 shifts, and on each shift is 1 lead pilot, the pilot 4. So that's me. I'm one of the lead pilots, and then we've got a chief pilot who he's on a 4-10 schedule, so he's daytime only, 10 hours a day.
So you're a lead pilot, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
So that long story was
not to be confused with the lead plane.
No.
Okay.
No lead planes. So basically the lead pilot for brush firefighters and most of the hoist operations is going to be the Helco. So I'd be the Helco ship.
Okay. Did you say how many gallons the 139 holds?
For water,
Yeah.
we have Simplex water tanks on there, and they're 480 gallons.
They're external tanks, right?
External tanks.
480, did you say?
Yeah, fixed belly mounted tanks and capable of 480 gallons of water. And there is, I believe, 14 gallons of foam that we have two foam bladders in there, and we're able to inject Class A foam directly into the tank.
How many gallons of water do you carry with a full load of fuel?
So we never take a full load of fuel for mission profile. It's capable of holding 420 gallons of jet fuel, and we are just above halfway. We usually carry around 220 gallons of jet fuel on board, and that kind of keeps
Gallons
us,
of jet fuel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 1,500 pounds is our mission profile. We kind of keep is the general, and that kind of gives us, when we come out the gate here, we can leave with half a tank of water. Depending on the aircraft, the older ones have the lighter aviation or avionics packages, and as time went on, they got heavier and heavier. So some of the aircraft, depending on the equipment we have on there and stuff, we can get close to 3/4 of a tank coming out of here with our mission-ready fuel. But basically, we calculate it in our head from when we take off and how much fuel we have and what our gross was coming out of here. And as we burn fuel, we can take more water.
Mm-hmm.
So usually we start off with half a tank and get up to, a full tank later on in the fuel cycle.
And you can hover refill, right?
We can. We primarily, I'd say, in the city here, probably 99% of the time we ground fill. So the way we operate is we have a sister station. So here at Air Operations, we're strictly just the air asset. We do have the crash rescue members here as well. So any on-airport emergency, they're the crash rescue for it. But everybody else here is the aviation. So either the pilots, the flight medics, that's really it. Helitack is what we use over at a normal fire station. Fire Station 90 is on the other side of the airport, and they're a regular fire station with the full truck and engine and rescue and everything over there. When we get a run, say it's a brush dispatch, we get a run, they shut down a company, say they shut down their engine and send members over. They jump into flight suits and they drive across the airport and come over, and they now staff the aircraft as our helitack members. So we'll have one of the ships, primarily in a dispatch in a city brush, we'll have the Helco platform launch, airship with water in it, and then the third one will take crew to the helispot.
And how many can they carry? How many firefighters?
We standard is like 5 seats in the back is what we'll have set up, and I'll show you depending on the equipment we have back there. It's capable of holding 12 in the back, so we could put 12 seats back there.
Wow.
But our standard is just 5. So when they send over the firefighters for the brush, we get on average three members to initially set up a helispot,
and those firefighters come from a crash rescue unit, or
they come from a regular fire station.
Oh.
So they're on an engine or a truck or anything else, so they could go to a structure fire, and then we could get a brush, and we'd have to wait for them to get available and come over here, kind of thing. So we work with them. So it's a certification process, usually 8 months to a year to get certified as a helitack member, where they learn everything from safety to how to operate the equipment, set up brush helispots, refuel, because we do hot fueling during incidents. So we do closed circuit hot fueling. But they shut down, come over, 3 members will get us set up, or we can get a helispot set up, and we primarily ground fill. So we land each time. We have a certain amount of helispots throughout the city that's evenly spaced, so we can, respond quick enough to an incident, depending on its location. But we do have snorkels, so we're able to hover pump from reservoirs, lakes, that kind
are
of
they
thing.
retractable or
No,
fixed?
they're fixed.
What are the requirements for hot refueling? Do you have to have like an engine there?
So for us, we do. We basically, anytime they bring the fuel tender out, so if it's an incident that's going to be longer than an hour that we project to be on scene, we'll call for the fuel tender, which then that Fire Station 90 that originally shut down one unit and sent over those 3 guys, they'll shut down their whole task force, which is 13 guys or 13 members. they'll shut them down and now staff the whole helipad. So they're going to start working in, projecting it's going to be a longer incident, and start rotating people in for crew rest and that kind of thing, and projecting that kind of stuff. So they'll send a couple guys in the fuel tender. They automatically marry up one of their engines over there. There's 2 engines in a truck. They'll marry one of their pump engines, type 1s, to go with the fuel tender. So they're hooked up with hose laid out, charged, and set up with Class A foam, and someone's manning a hose line while we do the hot fueling.
So do you have to have an engine there for crash rescue?
Not for crash rescue, it's just for protection
personnel?
line for the fuel, yeah.
Protection line for the fuel?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the fuel, if there was a fire to start at the helicopter or whatever, hopefully they're able to mitigate that issue.
Would you need that even if you weren't hot refueling?
No. If we're not hot fueling, the helicopters are on their own. We don't have an engine at the helispot. I mean, we do, to clarify that, we do have an engine at the helispot, but they're not there necessarily as a crash rescue source. They're there to augment pressure off the hydrant to give us good pressure, to fill up.
Mm-hmm. And you folks are all risk, I suppose, rescue and fire.
Yeah.
And what about medical? What are your medical aid responsibilities?
So medical aid responsibilities, we're still, we run an all-risk mission profile here all the time. The medical side of it, we don't get air ambulances as much, coming from units, calling it in, for regular medical things on the ground that we used to.
Like an accident on I-5, if there's serious injuries,
correct.
You don't respond to that?
We don't as much nowadays because the medical director for LA County has put on a criteria for field units to be able to request a helicopter for an air ambulance, that they have to have a greater than 30-minute ETA to a trauma center. So there's trauma centers all over Los Angeles, and most of these rescues can get there within 30 minutes. Times where we run into that issue where they can't is, say, a high traffic time, like down on PCH, down by the Pacific Palisades. We'll get the units down there where they're like, hey, it would take us an hour in traffic going on PCH and then side roads to get to UCLA, so they'll call us in for that. So we don't get them as often, but we still do have them.
So working 24-hour shifts, how does that interface with flight hours that a pilot might rack up during that period?
So it's kind of a tricky situation because we don't have a hard stoppage hour, kind of like you would see the forestry, CAL FIRE, that kind of thing have, where they've got duty hours, they're 10-hour duty hours or 8 flight hours, and then they're maxed out. We don't have that. We try to limit that. We're limited with the amount of pilots we have here and everything, and who's available, like when we get these larger campaign fires. But we initially try to keep the initial phase of flight hours under 6 hours, or topped out at 6 hours. So if we get an initial response and those pilots go out, we try to maximize them at 6 hours. And while they go out, if we project it to be a fire that's going to have to go into a crew rest kind of rotation, we start calling everybody in and have everybody respond in as soon as they can. So then we'll have pilots come in and back up. Once you're off of that initial first wave of flying, then we try to max it out at 4 hours. So what it ends up doing, if we have all our pilots in that we're able to, it ends up looking like you'll fly 4 hours, you're off for 8. You fly 4 hours, off for 8. And we sit there and rotate that through. And that's our best case scenario. If we don't have that, you may fly 4 hours, be off for 4 hours, on for 4 hours, off. But best case, if we can get all our pilots in, if they're all available when one of those fires break out, that's how we'll do it. We'll be on 4, off 8.
So when you're dropping water on a fire, I know you're in contact with air operations and Helco, if there is one, and people on the ground. But as far as exactly how do you know exactly where to drop water? So how much of that is pilot's discretion, and how much is it like drop it right here?
So technically it's all pilot's discretion, because we're always going to err on the side of safety. So if a pilot can't get to a spot where they're being requested or whatever, it's up to him to decide whether he can make the drop safely or not. So We will always have a Helco whenever we're doing a brush response. Whether we get into the air attack is whether the incident gets big enough, or whether we start calling in fixed wing for, to help us out and drop retardant and stuff. Then air attack will come with them. But a lot of times we'll run Helco. We run mutual aid with LA County, so any fire that we have, LA County will send a ship at a minimum. Any fire they have, we'll send a ship at a minimum, as long as we've got the resources available. But there is always a Helco now. Initially, it really depends on the type of fire it is, and when we get in these big campaign type of fires, it's usually a wind-driven fire. And now, companies are either standing ground, for defensible houses, or, areas that they can try to stand the ground and defend, or they may be doing a bumper run or fire front following. So it really depends what they're doing and how we can assist them. Something where it's a wind-driven fire, we know we're not going to be able to get the head of it and stop of it. So we're trying to keep the fire skinny and let it keep burning its way, because it's not going anywhere. And in that process, we're assisting ground units and trying to protect life and property, and assisting them where if they're making a stand at some houses, however we can assist them.